Hello, and welcome to episode 81 of Flicks in a Six. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Costanzo, with me, forever and always, the man, the myth, the hunter-warrior, Alessandro Bielsi. Say hello, Al.
I totally forgot to prep something to say here.
Yes! Perfect.
Sorry, we had so many other things to discuss and think about.
It's great. At least, sometimes you completely derail me. That derailed me a little bit, but not as much as usual, so I appreciate it.
Well, it's because I was derailed and I had to come up with something to do.
Nailed it. On this week's episode, big news, including, but not limited to, a triumphant return, John Wick, a few reoccurring Flicks in a Six segments, as well as other assorted news and nuggets, all before diving into our Flick of the Week, Alita Battle Angel. But first, Al, before all that, before you tell us what we're drinking, we have some housekeeping.
It's a little more than housekeeping.
The Spinchoon is expanding, and Flicks in the Six podcast is moving to a new hosting service. So what does that mean for you? Not much unless you listen on SoundCloud. After the next couple of episodes, you'll no longer be able to get the episodes there, unfortunately. But from what I can gather, it doesn't seem like a ton of folks are anyway. But there's actually better news to come along with that, and that's that we're going to be available on a wide array of platforms now, many of which we weren't before. So I'm just going to run through this list real quick. We are on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Casts, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Castro, Radio Public, Breaker Audio, TuneIn, and CastBox. So if you can't find us, I think you're doing it wrong. So there's that. Obviously, we also have our standard RSS feed. You can get that information and more. Actually, you can get all of the episodes if you would like to do them on the web. You can listen to those at flicksina6.spinchoon.com.
Can you spell Spinchoon for the people?
Spinchoon.
Well, I realize this is probably something of a blind spot for us. We just use the word so colloquially, and we expect everyone to know how to spell it. And at this point, if they've been listening to us for a while, they probably should know how to spell it. But I realized as we were getting to what we'll be getting to in the next big part of our announcements, as I was talking to someone else about this, I realized that I kept using the word, and they were familiar with the word, but didn't know how to spell it.
That's fair.
I was like, you know what? We should start spelling it more often for people who are first listening, because we love that you listen. We would like you to start coming back to the website as well, because slowly but surely we will be writing more on the Spinchoon. Anthony kicked that off. Was it last week with, or the week before?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
With his textual, not to be confused with the sexual, review of Alita Battle Angel.
Or confuse it. Whatever that means.
So we are hoping to ramp that back up. That'll be Anthony, myself, and Brian, and hopefully new additional contributors. Is there anything else you have to say on the topic you were doing?
No, go on. I was going to say, take the next announcement away. So,
including the newest member of the Spinchoon family, friend of mine, Michael Schaeffer, who henceforth will only be referred to as Schaeffer.
Yeah.
Henceforth will only be referred to as Schaeffer on this show and any other show, who may be doing some writing for us. And as well, he will be co-hosting with me the second show in the Spinchoon Podcast Network.
I'm going to call him Michael.
You can call him Michael. He's not going to like it.
You know, Coming to America?
I am vaguely familiar with it.
His mama called him Cassius. I'm going to call him Cassius.
That one I know. So anyway, our new show, which at least for now and probably going forward will be called the Spinchoon Sports Show. What is the Spinchoon Sports Show?
That's a mouthful.
We have one way that you can get informed on that. Episode 0 of the Spinchoon Sports Show is now live. You can find it in the same or the similar place to how you would find Flicks in the Six on the web. It's sss.spinchoon.com.
Correct.
As well as you can start finding it as it's slowly populating. Hopefully by the time any of you are listening to this, it'll be also pushed on all of those things as well, all those other services as well, although I think as of right now it's not on all of them just yet.
It's slowly propagating to the rest of them. I'm pushing it out. So
yeah, you can listen to that to get kind of a taste for what will be. Hopefully you will forgive us because Anthony handles all of our technological stuff here. I do not. So this is the first time that I tried to record something solo. The audio is fairly rough. There's a little bit of staticky interference in the background. So just bear with us as I figure out how to do those things, because me and Schaeffer will be recording face-to-face almost certainly for the foreseeable future every episode. because he lives like 8 minutes away from me.
Convenient.
It is.
Unlike me.
I'm also, in addition to the technological stuff that I'm not used to handling, which hopefully we'll have a better handle on as I'm now using a better app to record this stuff, I also have to learn a new skill in driving the show. The thing that Anthony typically does for us has been doing for the last 2 years. I think that I did a pretty good job of faking it until I made it when we did our Oscar Primer episode. But still, this is a new experience for me. So come for the content and stick around for the laughs at our expense. We had some funny stories that we told in our episode 0 because we were recording it in the middle of a blackout at my house, in addition to the
It's pretty great.
technical issues that we had. There's dogs barking because we were recording at like 2 p.m. I think Anthony may have clipped the time where my dad asked us if we wanted to have some whiskey.
No.
Because it was on. You didn't take it out?
No, I didn't take the whiskey part out. There was another thing that he yelled down that I clipped out, but the whiskey stayed.
Okay, I couldn't remember. I know that there was a time where he interrupted us, and I told you to clip that out. I forgot it was about the whiskey. The whiskey one stayed in there? So anyway, it was being recorded on St. Patrick's Day, so you'll forgive us for drinking some whiskey that day. But
it's also episode 0. Everybody gets one.
Yeah, that was the whole point of being episode 0, not the formal episode 1. We hope it'll be much more polished. It won't be as polished as this show starting off, as I learn how to do those things better, and as we figure out some of the things we want to do with polishing it up, like with the intro. Although I kind of like the intro. I hope you'll like the intro as well. I did realize that I'm going to have to insert a crucially needed not, that's N-O-T, in part of the intro. You'll see where that is once you've listened to the first episode. I don't want to spoil it. I want you guys to enjoy it.
It's probably worth a listen. Even if you're not a sports person, it's entertaining.
Oh, yeah. I hope if you enjoy us here, you'll listen to that even if you don't love sports, but I can understand if you have zero interest in sports, why you wouldn't want to hear it. That being said, we're going to be doing high-level, league-wide sports stuff a bit, whatever comes up in interest to us. It's predominantly going to be New York sports, like the 9 major teams in the New York City area in football, hockey, baseball, and basketball, especially with the hockey stuff because Schaeffer is a huge Rangers fan. I'm a big Islanders fan. We feel like hockey is an underserved market in the New York area. So we want to make that a focus. We were considering doing an all hockey podcast, but I just know that I'm not equipped to do it, even if you might be. So we're going to be doing it. We're hoping, even though the relationship between me and Schaeffer isn't exactly the same as the one between me and Anthony, we do have very good chemistry together because we've known each other for a very long time. It's going to be similar in spirit to this, where it's going to be a couple of guys talking about a form of entertainment that they love and having a couple of beers while they do it. We won't be doing formal beer reviews on that show most likely because his beer tastes are a lot more simplistic than me and Anthony's is, and that's fine. He just enjoys kicking back a few light beers or whatever. So we'll drink some beers. We'll talk some New York sports. We'll talk some league-wide sports. We'll talk some soccer, unfortunately, because he's a huge soccer fan. I'm going to have to rise to the occasion and know just enough to have a functional conversation with him. But we just want to have some fun, just like we do on this. That's everything about this site and this podcast network is about us having some fun, and hopefully you having some fun listening to us having fun.
Exactly, and this is the first stage in many stages of growth that we have planned. So
we've been growing slowly. This is our shot of adrenaline to get us moving because we have other plans that we want to start rolling out over the rest of the year at least.
Right. So 81 episodes in. Thank you for sticking with us this far. We appreciate you, and we hope you enjoy what's next.
Yes.
So just a quick recap. Everything you need to know about us and the shows you will find on Spinchoon.com. We're still going to be there. You'll still be able to find the write-ups of each episode along with an embedded link to actually play it from there. Like I said, you won't be able to get us on Souncloud anymore, but most folks don't anyway, and you'll be able to get us on pretty much any podcast service that there is. If you want just Flicks in a Six, you can go to flicksinasix.spinchoon.com. If you want just the sports show, you can go to sss.spinchoon.com. We also have emails set up for the shows so that you can write in if you have questions, comments, things you want to get onto an episode, want the host to discuss. There is sss@spinchoon.com for the sports show, and there is flicksinasix@spinchoon.com for us here, and we look forward to hearing from you and incorporating your thoughts into our episodes.
And on that note, we also are hoping to have a better social media presence. Schaeffer will be driving a lot of that because he has a lot of experience in that. So hopefully we'll have a little bit better and more active social interaction with you guys.
So with that, let's get to the fun stuff, Al.
Yes.
What are we drinking?
Wait, that wasn't fun for you?
That was fun. That was more business.
Sure.
It was fun business. It wasn't funny business.
It was us mixing business with pleasure, though.
Yes. Now let's talk about this pleasure in the cup.
Yeah, because I opened this and there was a very fragrant burst of beer vapor, I guess.
This one didn't explode all over me, so that's great.
That's already a great start. So anyway, we're drinking.
Is that like a blessing? That's showing us how the rest of this is going to go. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I mean, I hope so. Yeah,
it made me comfortable.
The thing is, I guess it really could only go downhill from there. So.
Jesus.
So anyway, what we're going to drink here today is 21st Amendment Brewery's Back in Black. It's an American IPA brewed with rich dark malts. It's a black IPA that's 6.8% alcohol by volume, 65 IBUs. Unfortunately, it's only 12 ounces, but I wish I still had the box for this. I actually stole this beer, borrowed this beer. Acquired this beer from my brother, and it had a box.
You didn't borrow this.
No, I was going to say, he's not getting it back, so... no, we swapped beers. When I find some stuff that I have, and he has some stuff that I've never had before, I try and swap with him so that we can use them on the show. There was a box that had some cool information story on this, I think, but I don't have the box anymore, so I can't read it to you. So that information that you got is all that you're going to get. So
there is some wonderful can art here.
Yeah, I was going to say, we usually do that after we've taken our first sip, but we can do it if you want.
I want to do it right now just because what really caught my eye about this is you didn't read any of the Walking Dead comics, have you?
Very, very, very little.
Are you familiar with the art style? The one that's on this can?
It's pretty close.
This is Walking Dead 21st Amendment. Is this what is going on here? Is Paul Revere on a chopper?
It surely looks like Paul Revere making his midnight ride with a lantern and candle, but driving on a motorcycle.
Which is just fantastic.
Yeah, that is a delightfully anachronistic picture.
It's wonderful. Let's give the sucker a taste. Cheers.
Cheers.
To new beginnings.
Oh, yeah. That hits the spot.
Oh, wow. I've generally been a fan of the beers that I've had from 21st Amendment.
Yeah, I think I've had a couple of them, but it's not something that I've really had as much as I should have. I think the first one I ever was exposed to was the watermelon one. Isn't there a watermelon summer or spring beer?
Hell or High watermelon. It's one of my favorites to drink in the summer.
Yes. Although I'm going to derail us slightly here for a very brief aside. When I just said that hit the spot, it reminded me of what I had for dinner about an hour and a half ago. Mm-hmm.
I swear to God, if you bring up Gorgonzola fries again, this partnership is over.
No Gorgonzola fries.
Right.
No, so
we can be friends.
Have you had chicken scarpiella?
I'm not familiar with that word unless it's being said weird.
I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced.
Okay.
Although I think I've heard it pronounced scarparello too, but I don't think that's the right pronunciation.
All right, so explain this chicken to me.
So it's chicken. It's sausage.
Let me get a glimpse of this bird.
It's potatoes. It's peppers. It's cherry peppers. And all of those things...
You could have just started with cherry peppers and I would have been like, sign me up.
Our steak.
Al and I, we have a history with cherry peppers.
A delightful history. So anyway, yeah, so those ingredients are all put together along with, I think, some chicken broth and probably some other spices and stuff like that. But you also add some of the vinegar from the cherry peppers to the essentially it's a stock. And you just cook it together. You braid the chicken very lightly, very lightly. And you just let it simmer. Nice. And you eat it, and it's fucking delicious.
Is this like a slow, like low and slow cook? Or...
I think so, yeah. We've had it a couple of different times, a couple different ways. This is the best version of it that we've had. My dad knocked it out of the park, grand slam. It was delicious.
So I'm going to come to you, and we're going to have those fries for lunch. And we're going to have that for dinner.
That's hearty eating, man.
And then because you did that for me, what I will do for you is I will watch Cloud Atlas.
It's funny that you mentioned that too, because I was going to find a way to organically slip that in. Because I realized the other day, you know what it was? I realized it when I was watching Alita. I was like, this reminds me a little bit of Cloud Atlas in some ways. And I've really let Anthony off the hook. I haven't brought it up in over a month.
Watching that movie was like, we're not going to be able to get through that episode without him bringing up Cloud Atlas.
See, okay, so we're on the same page.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you guys should watch that already.
Yeah. But... I'm sorry.
No, the thing is, we've been teasing that for like about a year. I think it's been almost a year since you and I planned what we want to do for that episode.
It seems like a solid episode 100.
You don't get 20 more weeks. You don't get 20 more weeks to do this.
Oh, man. I'm going to watch it, Al.
You realize that since we've done this, children have been conceived and born into this world?
Yeah, it's... okay, it's March 21st, right?
Yes.
We're going to do Cloud Atlas in April.
Are we going to do it when
we're going to do the Cloud Atlas episode?
Face to face when we do it. So are we going to do it when I come down for Infinity War?
It's just going to be just
Endgame, whatever.
Yeah, and if we're going to do that, we might as well go to Arthur's as well.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to clear my schedule for the week.
Yeah, seriously. Our steak.
Anyway, that was even more dramatic of a rabbit hole than I expected. I just wanted to bring up that dinner was delicious. If you can find good chicken scarpiello, it's so fucking good. But getting back to this beer, which is also so fucking good, natural transition. Tell me what you think about this beer.
I am a big fan of this. It's super drinkable. It's
funny because beers this dark aren't always super drinkable.
What'd you say?
I said it's funny because beers this dark aren't always super drinkable.
I think that's kind of what's shocking about it. And I don't know, it's like a wonderful taste. It's one of those things where I generally, it's really funny. It's a very strange thing. If I really like a beer, there's usually like a lot of flavor in there, things that I like that makes me also say, I really, really like this, but I'll only have one.
Mm-hmm.
I will drink more than one of these.
Yeah, I could too. And it's funny because it's bitter enough, especially when you add the dark malt. That adds some natural bitterness to it in addition to the hops. It's strong enough. It's 6.5%. This is the type of beer that could be burdensome. It's got a rich head to it when I poured it. But it all melds together in a perfect synergy. It's a very well crafted beer in addition to just how tasty it is.
It's got a nice chocolatey scent too.
Yeah, and that's what you get because it's like black patent or like chocolate malt. Probably both of them are in there, and that's exactly what you should get out of it. Sometimes I'm trying to just take a little whiff of this. You can even get a little bit of coffee, like roastiness in there.
Yeah, I'm on my review scale. I'm going 2 thumbs up on this one.
Oh, 2 thumbs, nice.
2 thumbs up. So my review scale, I'm gonna enhance it a little bit. We've been doing 81 episodes in.
Enhance.
All right. So instead of just a yes or no, you're gonna get 1 to 2 thumbs up or down.
Okay.
All right.
Or 0 thumbs is in the middle. Is that the middle of the scale?
I don't know what happens when the 0 thumbs comes along. We'll figure that one out.
Dead neutral. Joaquin Phoenix sideways thumb.
Oh, the sideways thumb. I think we could do that. We'll do a sideways thumb, and then by the end of the episode or by the end of the beer, I need to decide.
Yeah, you have to
shit or go off the pot.
It has to become at least a slight thumbs up or a slight thumbs down.
Okay. No slights. You know how I feel about 0.5s. It's 1 or 2 up, 1 or 2 down. Sideways if I'm not undecided at the beginning of the episode.
This beer is strong to quite strong. I really enjoy this. Yeah, if you like dark beers, if you like black IPAs, which is like a really niche subsection of beer, this is really good.
The first black IPA I had was at one of your barbecues.
The first black IPA you ever had was the first beer you and I ever made when we were watching... No, sorry. It wasn't the first one when we did the Lord of the Rings marathon. It was the first beer I made once I picked it back up again. Mm-hmm. So yes, I think you might have had it at a barbecue. You're right.
It was nice. Awesome. Good choice on this one.
I'll have to give a little credit to Dominic because he bought this one.
Thanks, cuz. To the peanut gallery.
To the peanut gallery.
Al, shall we get into it?
Yeah, we have. I have a couple of little news and nuggets. I'm sure you do as well.
Yeah, I'm sure we have at least one crossover.
At least. It's going to be the one that we discussed earlier today.
Okay. So we definitely have one, maybe 2. John Wick.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
That trailer, though. It's you sent me the trailer, and I was sold. I was sold when I heard the words John Wick 3. Right? I was like, I'm totally into that. I don't care. I want it.
Then he heard the word Parabellum.
You who listen know that I love those movies. I can't. It's gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be absurd, off the wall. And I really feel like what's amazing. They're just gonna roll right into it, just like they did in the second one. Rolled right off the first one. This is essentially it's probably like a 6 to 7 hour movie that was broken up into 3 parts.
It's essentially a miniseries,
which is fantastic.
Yeah,
and what a way to do it. And then we got that Jason Mantzoukas.
Wait, was he in it? I didn't even remember seeing
I just saw that poster, whether or not with him on it.
I don't remember seeing him in it in the trailer.
I didn't see him in the trailer.
Oh,
I just saw the poster with him on it.
Did he say that in that Armchair Expert episode? Did he say he was in it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he mentioned it. Now you have me wondering though if it's fake, if the poster is fake.
Oh, was it like one of those like joke posters of like?
I don't know. I'm gonna look him up real quick. Let's see if he's in it. Either way, regardless. Oh no, he's in it. TikTok man.
That's funny.
But I can't wait for this one. It's gonna be ridiculous. It's gonna be. You know what's funny? The first 2 movies were so over the top. The action was just out of control, entertaining as all hell. Somehow the second had even more, and somehow this one's gonna have even more. And you can already tell that by it more, much more better. And I don't like. There's a ridiculous scene in the trailer of him walking through the desert, and rather than being annoyed by this, I want to know how he gets there. I'm genuinely
tell me more.
Yeah, exactly. I would like more information. I don't know. It's so absurd. It's just on paper. It sounds like something that you should go, ugh. About, but these movies are so good. I can't wait for it. There's I listened to Hollywood Babylon. It's a Kevin Smith, Ralph Garman show.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that a couple times.
They do a segment called Exquisite Acting. And it's acting that's so bad that it goes.
Would you say that it's exquisite?
It's acting that's so bad that goes all the way around to being good again. And I feel like that's every line that Keanu delivers in this movie.
I will say I was a little distracted while I noticed he's finally starting to show his age a little bit. Mm-hmm. His face is getting fat.
yeah. It's funny. He's so stiff.
Yeah.
And I don't. You know what it is? He looks like I feel in a suit.
Well, that's part of it. The other part of it is because of how they wanted him to look otherworldly in the martial arts he learned for the Matrix movies. Like, they didn't want him to look human.
Yeah.
I think that he's just carried that very stiff, like almost like old school video game thing where it's like just straight line movements.
Yeah.
Where there's no fluidity to it.
That's interesting. Because he didn't seem that way in Speed, for sure.
No.
Definitely not in Bill and Ted.
Wasn't there news about Bill and Ted 3 today?
Yeah, I think they're doing that.
No, not just that, but like there was like they released some sort of like teaser of like the two of them.
Did they? Oh,
yeah, I don't know if it was like a. I don't know if it was actual footage or if it was a teaser, like of them like kind of behind the scenes type of thing. But there was something that was just released a couple of days ago or yesterday with the two of them.
I'm gonna have to look that up. Do we know when this is coming out? May 17th. Oh, come on! This is great.
We're getting up to that time. Like the season is ramping up on us because we've got some big stuff coming up in the next few weeks. We have Us is out.
Yeah, I'm seeing that tomorrow.
Oh, is it already out? I didn't know if it was this weekend or next weekend.
It was out today.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I knew it was imminent. I thought it was next weekend.
It's one of those things. It comes out tomorrow, so that means it's all of Thursday.
And it came out Monday. It came out that Monday, but they only played the first half of it. The second half is Tuesday.
I have no idea. Tomorrow night, though, going to see that. So that'll be on an episode coming to you soon.
That'll probably be in a couple of weeks, right? Because I think we already agreed we're going to do Triple Frontier next week.
Will probably be next, and then followed by Us will be my guess. And then it's just like, then we're in it. We're in the thick of the season, and all sorts of crazy movies are coming out.
Well, that's what it is. So we got, in April, we have Endgame coming out. I think there's something else coming out in April as well that I was interested in. Probably. But it's all jumbling together, so I don't remember now. We have...
Is it Game of Thrones? It's probably Game of Thrones.
Well, no, there's that too, but I think there was a movie too. And then there was, and then there's John Wick that's coming out in May right after that, like, and where 'tis the season.
I only have a few weeks to get through 19 movies. I have made no progress.
You still haven't watched any more of them?
Dude, I've been focusing on our stuff, all right?
Well, that was like for the last day.
Yeah, that's true. No, I need to, I have to get through.
Wait, so you're telling me you're going to watch 22 goddamn movies, but you're not going to have watched Cloud Atlas?
I might pepper it in there. I'm going to have to break up the monotony somehow. You know what? Speaking of the monotony, I was talking to Kim about this earlier. Man, I am struggling to get through the friggin' 5th Harry Potter book.
I love that book.
I think it's too much in a row. I took no breaks. I started the first book.
That type of thing just typically bother me, but I can see it bothering you after watching the Lord of the Rings experience.
Yeah, it's. I think I just need to break it up. I'm also reading like professional development books in the middle, and those are actually breaking it up enough where those are more interesting to me right now than the than the Harry Potter book. I'll get back to it.
There's no way you're getting through the Marvel movies if you're planning on seeing every one of them, because between the ramping up of the Spinchoon stuff and you starting a new job and having professional development stuff to read and reading Harry Potter, there's no way.
Well, the Harry Potter is going to take a back seat because it just needs to. Otherwise, I'm going to hate the characters.
And Cloud Atlas.
Cloud Atlas, we'll get in there. I think it's going to be... I'm going to have to put those movies on in the background while I do things. That's all it is. While I'm cooking, I'll just have to put one on. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. You don't really need to sit down and like evaluate it.
The problem is all of them... The only place that there is a Blu-ray player is in the movie room. So I'll have to make sure that I have streamable copies of...
I have a good solution. You could just pick it up and bring it upstairs.
But the wiring is so nice. I'm not doing that.
The thing is, though, you don't have to leave it there permanently. You could bring it back down when you're done.
That's true. That's true. You make a lot of sense.
Or if you got a laptop and a disk drive, you put it on the counter while you're cooking.
Disk drive. Where are you? Where in time are you?
I mean, like, they have peripheral disk drives. I understand it's not in the computer.
There are five. There are 5 computers in this house. Not a single one of them has a disk drive.
I have a removable, like the one that plugs in with the USB.
I know. I'm pretty sure I looked it up for you to buy the right one.
No, the one I had came with the computer I bought.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have one either. You're right.
I'll just buy them again digitally.
First of all, like, aren't they all on Netflix now? Like, but only until the end of this year.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I mean, well, I don't know about all of them, but a lot of them are. At least the last several that came out are.
That's fair. But the problem is, I watched one of 20. So we're not talking the last several. We're talking the last all of them.
First of all, you and I both know that I'm sure there's some way for you to cast the street from downstairs to the upstairs.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry about me. I'll make it happen.
We both know that you have a workaround, even if you're choosing not to think of it right now.
Speaking of these Marvel movies, big news. And that is the return of James Gunn.
Yes.
Thoughts?
Oh, that's right. That happened like the day... Yeah, that happened last Friday, so it was the day after we recorded.
Yeah, I know. Which I couldn't have broke like before we started.
It seems like that happens pretty often, too. And it's like, you know, there's 7 days in a week.
It's always going to happen.
There's some sort of news that comes out just about every day, but there's a lot of days where the news, I don't bother to hold on to it. It's like, this doesn't really register. But that one registers, especially for us. And it came out the day after we recorded. And so now you're going to hear about this news a week after it happened, and everyone's discussed it.
Right. But not often, if ever, do the big companies go back on decisions like this.
Well, the question is, did they go back at all?
Was it just a ploy?
There's some, this isn't confirmed, but I saw some rumors maybe 2 days after the news broke that Disney never actually tapped another director because they were always planning on doing this.
So they had to distance themselves from him, create an uproar so that they could bring him back into the fold because it's what you asked for. Is that what it is?
Well, a combination of things, too, that, and, like, one, that, too, I think they were just investigating what the recourse was and how much trouble they would possibly get into be maintaining that relationship. Mm-hmm. So they basically just sent him to exile allegedly, they sent him to exile while they figured out where everything stood from a legal standpoint.
Got it. All right. I mean, I believe that.
This is rumored. This is not confirmed.
I believe that. I would not be surprised if that were actually the case, though.
But considering we heard a few weeks ago that they were still using his script, and no one had ever actually officially in any way, shape, or form been connected to do the directing. I know they reached out to the most obvious in-house option with Taika Waititi, but he wasn't going to do it. So,
oh my god, this beer is so good. I'm sorry,
it really is.
It's so good. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I've been talking a while now about how after this run through of all of them, I'm going to try and pick a favorite. And as of right now, the ones that are up there, as you know, are Guardians and Ragnarok. So
it's funny. I did a very quick, off-the-cuff ranking of the movies. I was discussing this with my cousin Mike. Hey, Mike. Who was listening to our episode last week about Captain Marvel and talking about we did kind of a loose, like, where does it stand for us type of thing. So he sent me his very well thought out list of the ranking of them. And there was some agreement, some disagreement.
Do you have that list?
Mine or his or both?
His.
Sure.
Let's go
Mike,
through his.
Mike, I hope I'm not betraying any confidences because I'm going to read your list if I can find it.
I hope there's there's like something on that just like for whatever reason wildly offensive to me.
Yeah, well, no, I mean there was nothing. There wasn't even any analysis. It was just a list. Like he just gave me a list of things.
Yeah.
This is his list: Iron Man, The Avengers, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor: Ragnarok, Black Panther, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Captain America: The First Avenger, Thor, Captain Marvel, The Incredible Hulk, Avengers: Age of Ultron, Guardians 2, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2, Thor: The Dark World.
Interesting list. It's funny with so many movies on the list. It's hard to like keep track of them as you're going through that list.
Well, that was the thing is I when I was creating my list, I had to keep going back to his list because I knew all of them were on there. And I was like, I'm definitely going to forget some if I don't keep referring back to this list to make sure that I more or less get all of them.
Yeah. I was as I was listening to you, I was like, is there anything offensive in the top 5? No? Okay, cool.
Well, it was offensive to me that he has the Winter Soldier like 2/3 of the way down the list because that is the best one in my mind. So
yeah, no, I know you're a big fan of that. You can, and as you remember, I didn't like it until I rewatched it. So
yes, I'll read you my list because I have it here. Sent it to him. So I have Winter Soldier first, Ragnarok second, Black Panther third, Guardians 1, Infinity War, the original Avengers, Homecoming, first Iron Man, first Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Ultron. Then I put a little space because the next 5 I basically have more or less tied. Like there's not really
the next are the same.
It's a cluster. Like there's not you know. Yeah. So I have Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain America 1, Doctor Strange, Civil War, and Guardians 2.
Okay. Then
I have another space, then Hulk, then another space, and then the other ones that I haven't mentioned yet.
Got it. I feel like that's a fair list. We'll probably be very close when I'm done with mine.
So those ones that I didn't mention would be Thor 2, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. I think that's it.
I'm pretty excited to get to rewatch some of the early ones because I really it's gonna almost be like watching them for the first time because it's been so long since I've seen some of them.
Yeah, it's been a while. I still technically have never watched Iron Man 3 start to finish.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen the whole movie, but I've never seen it unabridged.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I'm excited to put my list together. Probably make an article out of it.
Yeah, I definitely did that pretty quickly, so it's possible that a couple of things might have been shifted up and down if I've really sat down and here is my formal list, on my typewriter or something. But I feel generally pretty good about that, minus 1 or 2 things being moved up or down a spot or 2.
Sweet. I have 2 more things, but they're more segments. So do you want to throw some nuggets at us?
Yeah, let's go with a nugget. Let's talk about a rumor. This rumor came out a day or two ago. March 19th it's dated. I'm drawing this rumor from Star Wars Newsnet.
Okay.
We're going to basically do reading here because it's fairly short. It's a fairly short post.
Okay.
Rumor: Benioff and Weiss's first Star Wars film set well before the Skywalkers to begin filming this fall. A contact who has worked on every Disney Star Wars film has shared some interesting information. According to them, the next Star Wars film could possibly begin filming this fall. That, I think, has all been all but confirmed. That's my own editorializing. And it will be the first film in the series of films by Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. I'm trying to get some confirmation on this information from other places, but as of now, I only have one source, so I can only report this as a rumor. So use your pinches of cinnamon as you wish. I think it's a grain of salt, but okay. Because of that simple fact, I can't say I'm as confident in this as I am about the Obi-Wan Kenobi streaming service series report. That's a hyperlinked article that I didn't read yet, sorry. Though the source provided proof that they have worked on every Star Wars film since Disney's acquisition of Lucasfilm and claim they are 95% confident that this is accurate. So let's simply go over what we were told. Our source told us they were approached about working on the next movie this autumn. It is not the Rian Johnson trilogy. It's the Game of Thrones guy's first movie, and it is set during the Old Republic as Disney wants to open up the Star Wars timeline. I thought you'd like that. And appeal to a more Game of Thrones style audience.
They are hot damn.
Remember, this is rumors, guys.
No.
Wild speculation.
No. I heard it was etched in stone.
Do we have to combine reading and wild speculation? This is wild speculation.
Whip.
It's been a while since
Stir.
It's been a while since we've had a good wild speculation.
Oh man, that's
this. Will you let me finish before we do this?
No, it's so exciting. Go on.
This really seems so on the nose in terms of what fans have been wishing for from these guys. So I asked for clarity on what else he heard about the project. So the timeline is hundreds of years prior to the Skywalkers. So think almost Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings, just as far as like structurally speaking. I asked if there was any grasp on something tangible happening for this production yet, or if it was all strictly talk/discussion based. And according to our source, the art departments are doing pre-production work as we speak. Filming starts in the fall, and art departments are in design phases now as the script is being finalized. This is all I know, but I'm 95% confident that this is accurate. Again, as of now, I can only report this as a rumor because I have not been able to secure a second source on the information. The source has proven to be reliable in the past and has been involved with all the Disney-owned Star Wars films to date. But with anything, as I like to say, because I hate the use of the phrase grain of salt, use a pinch of cinnamon with this information. I'm doing everything I can to dig and find more information about this, as it would certainly be very exciting news to know the next Star Wars movie will be going into production soon as we prepare ourselves to say farewell to the Skywalkers when Episode 9 hits theaters in 9 months.
Who wrote this?
This is written by John Hoey, co-lead editor and senior writer for Star Wars Newsnet.
Give credit where credit's due.
And the host of the Resistance Broadcast podcast.
Hey man, just the idea of that makes me happy. Even if it's not true, just to imagine what that might be like. And those guys doing it. Oh my god.
They do seem to be the right fit. I think some people have been connecting these dots ever since they were originally announced. And it's obvious there's a thirst for that specific timeline because people liked the Knights of the Republic games. The Old Republic game ended up becoming something that survived very rough rollout. I never played it, but just stuff that I've read. I think it's still an ongoing service. And obviously it was a wealth of things in the expanded universe or whatever that's since been made legend. I imagine if this is true, will be ripe to pull a lot of those things back into canon the way they've done.
Right.
So for people who enjoyed those sorts of stories, that's cool.
Man, I really hope that that's the case. Even if it's not, I'm sure whatever they do will be really entertaining.
It'll be an excellent test case for the hunger for non-Skywalker and even Skywalker tangential stories.
Yeah, I think it's safer to do this, right? Because there's a fan base that is familiar with like the concept, so at least you have a big group for an entry point.
I have my doubts about that specifically.
Oh, okay.
Just because there seems to be at least a loud group of people who want a Boba Fett or an Obi-Wan movie, and seemingly there was a loud group of people who wanted Solo, and that didn't perform as well as it should have.
There's a loud group of people that say Episode 8 is bad.
Sure, but
people are just wrong.
That I understand that. This is a different. As much as I agree with it, this is a different thing, right? Because we're talking about people asking for a thing, not rendering an opinion on something that exists.
Right.
There does seem to be a loud group of people. So I don't know if it's just like the Episode 8 thing where it's just that they're loud, or if it's a voluminous amount of people. You hear about it so much, you've heard about it for years, that, yeah, I agree, there are people who definitely want it, and that's why I understand if this is true, that's why they would want to go that way. It'll be a test case to see if that's true. Will the allure of this supposed thing that everyone's wanted so badly be enough to give a strong performance in the box office?
We'll see.
I mean,
maybe.
You're telling me across of the people who made an excellent show on Game of Thrones and Star Wars, I'm going to be there already. You know this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I'm not the person that you're talking about, because I was never not going to go see Solo. I was never not going to see any of these things, as long as they keep putting forward their best.
I'm pretty sure any of the people that would be upset with it are also definitely going to see it. So,
well, the thing is, I'm not talking about people who are going to be upset with it. I think even people who are quote unquote, disillusioned because of what Episode 8 was. I think these people making this thing, if that's what they're doing, those people will come back to it. You know what I mean?
That's
probably. That would be my guess. I'm just wondering if it's enough to get people excited to come out. You know what I mean?
Sure. I'm excited. I don't even care about them. Give me that movie. I want it. I want it now. I actually don't want it now. There's a lot of movies that are ready. Give me those. Give me the John Wick. It's done.
Give me the John Wick.
Give me the John Wicks. They're done. I want to see those.
You give
Toy
me
Story. Isn't that the other thing that's coming out really soon?
I mean, it is coming out at some point. But
Toy Story, Spider-Man's July, right? June. I don't know.
July or August. It's July or August
for movies. It's fantastic. I'm really excited about it. That's an exciting rumor.
Yes,
I'm excited for it. You have another one? You have another news?
I have other things, yes. I have a story about the Christopher Nolan movie. I wondered whether this might be the other thing that we intersected on, but apparently it's not.
No, James Gunn was the thing that I thought we were going to intersect on.
Yeah, so there's two different stories. Well, the funny thing is, I was looking for the story I saw yesterday or the day before. There was another story following it up, so I'm going to give you that one because it's more complete information. This is a article on Variety.com by Justin Kroll. That's a name I know. Covering movies. So we're going to do another short reading. Elizabeth Debicki and Robert Pattinson are on board to co-star with John David Washington in Christopher Nolan's next movie, Variety has learned. Nolan recently finished the script for the currently untitled film, and Warner Brothers quickly dated it for July 17, 2020, a slot the studio often reserves for the director, most recently with Dunkirk. Not only was that film a success at the box office, bringing in $526 million worldwide, but it also earned Nolan an Oscar nomination for director, his first in the category. The project has become one of the more highly coveted ones in Hollywood, even though most of the industry has been kept in the dark about everything from casting to plot details. One insider described the pick as a massive action blockbuster, which will again be shown in IMAX. Nolan's also producing along with his partner Emma Thomas. Production is set to commence later this year. And then it's got a little bit of color on the actors and actresses. Debicki is coming off a huge year, having starred Netflix's Cloverfield Paradox and Widows, while also voicing a character in Peter Rabbit. She recently wrapped production on the upcoming HBO horror series Lovecraft Country. She is repped by CEAA and United Agents. Pattinson has a busy 2019 ahead of him with Robert Eggers' The Lighthouse, The King at Netflix, and Waiting for the Barbarians, all expected to bow this year. He can be seen in Claire Denis' High Life. So the original story I saw just said that John David Washington had been tapped to be the lead in this movie. This story following it up saying that Robert Pattinson and Elizabeth Debicki will also be some of the lead stars of this movie.
Whatever. It's gonna be great. Can't wait. I can't wait. Honestly, I don't even. It's one of those things. It's similar to what I said about John Wick. Other thing. I don't even need a trailer for this movie to be their opening day. That's how.
No, but I want one because I want to know what the hell it's about.
Sure. Sometimes you know what? Sometimes it's fun to go see a movie when you have no idea what it is.
But I want something. I at least want a title and a synopsis.
That's fair. You know what? Something I want to point out. They mentioned Dunkirk. They mentioned his slot was it July, right?
July 17th, 2020 is the next one.
Let's talk about good movies for a second.
That I enjoy that.
Let's talk about movies that deserve Oscar nominations.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
No. If your movie comes out in July and you get nominated for an Oscar, that was a good movie. If your movie comes out in January and gets nominated for an Oscar in February, is it? Is it great?
Well, it has to come
is
out
it memorable? No, it does. Well, it's weird. The wide release thing, early release thing.
Even if it's limited release,
it's all strange. But what I'm saying is, a movie that is a really good movie that comes out early in the year and then gets remembered later on. This is why I find it very exciting to go see Us tomorrow. Because
that was Get Out came in February and it was still nominated after later that year. Same thing with Black Panther last year.
Yeah,
Us this year. I mean, March instead of February, but still.
There are so many movies that get nominated that come out right before the Oscars, and I feel like it's like they're trying to jump in. They are trying to jump in the spotlight right before that award season, so that they can be in the minds of people and actually get that nomination, get those awards. But they want to be the thing that's freshest in your mind. Christopher Nolan, I mean, I could be completely wrong about this. He doesn't seem like he's trying to get an Oscar.
No, I don't think he cares.
He's just making movies.
It's true. I mean, he does seem like an auteur who just wants to do his thing and damn the consequences. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not to the point of fuck you. Like he wants the audience to come out and enjoy it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't made a bad movie.
No.
But he's not worried about what people are going to think and how they're going to treat the movie or whether he gets Oscar nominated. And the studios don't care because his movies make them a fuck ton of money.
Right.
He's going to make the movie that he wants to make. That movie will come out. You'll go enjoy it. And then he'll start working on the next movie.
I think the key for me is, the movie he wants to make, maybe it's the movie he wants to see.
I do think that's a big part of it, yes.
So people like him, I know you're not as big of a fan of Kevin Smith as I am, but Kevin Smith, what I see in Jordan Peele's movie, they're making the movies they want. There's more heart that goes into that. A lot more heart that goes into that. And it shows. And those are the movies that really resonate with me. You can't
replace quality.
I can't wait to see his movie. I don't even know what the hell's going on. I don't even know it's an untitled movie coming out in July. You know what? The balls on them. Here's the date the movie's coming out.
It's pretty incredible. Usually you hear a title of a movie. Maybe you get a synopsis alongside of it. Maybe not. Maybe you get the synopsis a little while later. And then eventually you get a release date. This one's, fuck you. This movie's coming out that day. We'll tell you eventually what it's about.
Right. Christopher Nolan's making a movie. It's coming out July 2020. What's it about? I don't know. Is it started filming yet? No. Is it casted? Somewhat.
It's just becoming casted now.
How is this happening? The man's
I don't know, but I'm not going to complain.
A genius. I adore
him. Genius.
Shall we?
Do you know what that's from?
Yeah, it's from Mr. Deeds.
Okay, because whenever I do that, people don't usually seem to know, which always upsets me. Yeah. Or I've even found a GIF for it once or twice and sent it, and it didn't resonate with people. I'm like, oh, it was such an admittedly mediocrity. I was gonna I made mediocrity into mediocre, a mediocre movie. If that one single part of that scene is perfection.
Yeah, that's a weird movie that I will randomly quote. That's one of the lines. The other one is, "My back hurts," and I just shout it for no reason at all.
I don't remember that one, but...
It slides down the banister, falls off the banister, slams his back on. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's such a dumb movie, but it's very entertaining.
The one that I usually think of to quote is, "I'm very sneaky."
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, what a great character. I want to touch on a segment of what we're watching, because I'm curious if you're watching anything new, and something that I randomly started that I want to just chat about quickly. So, are you watching anything new?
New-ish. I think I mentioned it last week that I am in the throes of watching Mad Men. Mm-hmm. I am very nearly done with the second season.
Okay, cool.
I've largely just been watching it on the weekend. I haven't really been watching it during the week.
Enjoying your time with it, or?
Yeah, no, it's a very good show.
Cool.
It's not exactly what I thought it would be. I remember when it was coming out, I was kind of interested, and I just never picked it up. And then later on, it seemed like I had some friends who were watching it, but not many, and I wasn't super motivated to catch up on it. And I finally succumbed. I've been doing that, trying to catch up on the things I feel like I missed out on, and I don't regret my choice to start watching it. It's a very good show.
All right, cool. Kim and I were sitting on the couch the other day, and we wanted to watch something. We didn't know what we wanted to watch.
Cloud Atlas.
We wanted to watch something new. We were trying to decide on a show to watch, like the show to get started.
I have a show for you after this story, so go ahead.
Okay, so we were like, going through the roster of things that we want to watch, and like, Sopranos was on there. We want to watch that, but it wasn't sparking the interest.
No, that's a commitment, and you have to be ready for that mindset. But it's very much worth your time.
I want to watch the new True Detective season. I wanted to watch. There's a couple of other things that we wanted to watch, and as we were scrolling through a bunch of stuff, we were scrolling through HBO Go, we were scrolling through Netflix. The Wire came up.
Oh, also a great choice. And though similar headspace to The Sopranos.
It was weirdly though. It was just like read the synopsis. I was like, to that thing where you're going through all of these options. Could
you tell me what the synopsis was? Because I imagine it probably didn't do it justice.
I don't remember exactly, but it was just like the general tone, basically the general type of thing you're going to be watching is what we're like. What it is a cop drama, basically. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen one of those in a while.
Yeah, it's a lot more than that.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But so we were going through, and when you get in that phase where you're like, where you know everything that's on Netflix now because you've scrolled through the entire thing, but the whole time you're like, and then we scrolled through HBO Go and we hit The Wire and we both went, and I was like, that was better than the mez that we were getting before. So we started watching that. Put an episode on. It's like
it's got a good pilot, but it's very slow.
It's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. We put it on. Watching it. I'm ready. I'm anticipating a pilot. I'm anticipating to not love it right off the bat and kind of get into it. Watching it, I'm like, okay, see where it's going. Starting to learn the characters a little bit. Starting to understand the people. Thinking as I'm watching it, oh, I'm really excited for the second episode, and we don't have to deal with any of this like introductory bullshit. Watching, and then like towards the end of it, I don't remember exactly what happened, but it was like one of those things that made me go, I think I like this.
Yeah, that's how the pilot goes, yeah.
I looked over to Kim, and she was asleep. And I went, crap. And then I proceeded to watch 4 more episodes.
Okay, that's good, because I was going to say, I think it's the 5th episode, the episode titled The Wire. Uh-huh. If you're not hooked by then, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, it's, to her defense, it was just late. It's too late for her to start something. And for me, I was just like, I know so many people that have said this is a great show. I can't get Westworlded, so I'm gonna just keep going. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna catch her up. I'm gonna give her the synopsis, and then we're gonna dive in where I am.
Yeah, I mean, at least, especially the first episode, that's really all that's required. Because there's a lot of, like, you have to just learn a bunch of names, honestly. It's kind of the same way you experienced the first episode of Game of Thrones.
And you know me with the names.
Yeah,
I might remember 3 of them when the series is over.
Well, so here's the thing. What's going to happen for you is it's going to be, you'll remember McNulty. Then you're going to just say the guy who's the priest on Walking Dead.
Yep.
And then there'll be...
Oh no, him. Yeah, I was talking about his boss, but yeah, Father Gabriel.
Father Gabriel is. Wait, Carmine Falcone is not in it.
Yeah, he is. Oh well, different one from Gotham.
Oh, I was thinking from the Dark Knight trilogy. He's not. No. There's going to be the guy who plays the night manager at the in John Wick. The girl.
Oh my God.
Bunk. You'll remember Bunk because why not?
So far, the way that I have them recognized is main cop's partner,
That's
main
Bunk.
Cop's other partner.
The girl?
Yeah.
I'm struggling to remember her name right now. Yeah, I remember.
Boss man I don't like. Boss man I'm not sure about. And then there's the sneaky guy that I've had my eye on for the first 3 episodes, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're a good cop. I like you. Don't know his name.
Oh, Lester.
The guy that's
Lester Freeman, the guy with the little miniatures.
Yeah.
Oh, great character.
He's great.
Great character.
You know, okay, so I actually told Kim about this afterwards. She had fallen asleep, like I said. This was, I think, the 4th episode. There's what will remain one of my favorite scenes in television. Ready for this? Okay. They go to investigate a fairly cold case of a woman that was shot, and it was never solved. They didn't have any information, any evidence on like what happened. And McNulty and his partner go in. Look at you! You made me remember his name.
I mean, you can't forget that name.
McNulty and his partner go in, and for the next 5 to 8 minutes, the only spoken word is "fuck."
Yeah.
And
it's in the apartment, right?
Yeah. And that scene is amazing.
With like different inflection, like different variations. It was like fuck, like fuckity fuck or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yep. Exactly. And it goes on.
Some of them were questions, some of them were statements.
Yeah, what the and it goes on forever. And it's what you realize, you understand how great these two work together. Mm-hmm. That they're able to communicate an entire case scene and basically solve it with no words.
No, well, one word.
With one word. That blew me. As that was happening, I was laying down. I got up and got to the edge of my seat on the couch. I was like, "This is wonderful. This is an amazing scene."
Yeah, no. So the way you can remember these is some of them you'll remember the names, like McNulty. His partner is Bunk. The guy Lester, the guy with the miniatures. Right. Mm-hmm. He was in John Wick, the first one.
Yeah.
Do you remember him from that?
Yes.
Okay, and then I can't believe I can't remember his name. The one who's the lieutenant, the black lieutenant who ends up in charge of their whole group, Lance Reddick, is his name in real life. He was also in the John Wicks. He's the manager of the hotel, or like I guess the concierge of the hotel. And then there's Father Gabriel.
And there's like 14-year-old Michael B. Jordan.
14-year-old Michael B. Jordan. They're also from The Walking Dead. There's what's his name? The guy who was Tainted Meat. Remember the one who was with Sasha, and he ended up those cannibals caught him, but he had been bitten by a walker, and they cut off his leg and started eating it, and he started laughing at them because they were eating tainted meat.
Oh my god, I can't remember what that person looked like.
His name was, I think, Bob Stuckey. He was an alcoholic who got clean during the zombie apocalypse, and he's been in a lot of things. He was in The Waterboy. He was the kicker.
Okay, it's funny. I vividly remember that scene from the comic, and it's a different character.
Okay, yeah. So he was in The Wire. He's the guy who runs that one area of the projects where Michael B. Jordan works.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the character.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
And then you struck Stringer Bell. You'll remember Stringer Bell because how could you forget it? That's Idris Elba.
Yeah. Oh my god. During watching the show, I probably 15 times went, my god, he was young there. Like with different people.
Yep.
He was the first one where I was like, you look like an entirely different person.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And then you won't be able to forget Avon Barksdale, obviously the guy in charge of the drug ring, Wood Harris. Yeah.
We Titans.
Yeah, remember the Titans and a bunch of other things. One of the other top guys of the drug ring was Weebay. You just can't forget that sort of name. Also that guy is responsible for one of my favorite gifts in the history of the world. I think it happened in like the second or third season. And you'll recognize it if you ever saw it. It's the one where he sits there and he got his hand on his mouth and he's just like, as he just makes like a revelation like that. That's him in that show at some point.
Okay, all right. I'm excited. What I'm probably gonna do is I will finish up the first season and continue to watch all the other things I need to watch, and then go back and finish it.
So a couple things about that show. One, it's really, really, really good. Two, it's really depressing. Three, it's the first show I ever saw, and it's probably the best, even better than Game of Thrones, which is the first show that I ever saw do it, this thing where you could take a character who like barely mattered in the first season, and then they literally become a main character in like the third season. Like, and like even like McNulty will be an important character throughout the whole show, but he isn't always the lead or even a lead.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's actually really cool the way they manage it. I don't know how they manage
exciting.
it, because there's a character who you see like one time in the first season who is like and a very important secondary character in the second season,
right?
Who then you see periodically in the third, fourth, and fifth season. And then and even more dramatic than that, you have a character who you see periodically in the first and second season, and then is like the main character in the third season.
That's crazy. Okay, that's exciting. That's it's just good writing.
I don't know how they managed the talent on all of that, but it's so cool because it's like
I wonder
that's how
if
real
it was
life
like,
works. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I kind of wonder if it's like one of those things where they had it written and they're like, we'll contract this person out because we're going to need them later for something big we have planned. Or the person crushes a scene here or there and they're like, you know what? Let's make them big.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's one of those things where, I mean, like that show came out 15 years ago or 14 years ago. As David Simon was the creator of the show, and he like got started, I think, in the newspaper business. Like he worked in Hollywood his whole time. And I don't even know what else he's actually worked on other than this. But he's a brilliant writer, and him and his team do an incredible job of writing. The cast is incredible, acting wise. Like it's a really great.
I'm into it. I'm definitely into it. So I'm excited
definitely
to see
stick
where that
with
goes.
it. You won't regret it, I don't think.
The only other thing that I had under the news and nuggets.
Wait, before we're done with that, since we're doing what we're watching.
Yeah.
What I'm watching, it's not new to me, but I would recommend it to you guys if you want something dramatically different, like tonally from that. I've mentioned it to you a couple times in the past, as like, yeah, you should check it out if you want. But two things: one, finding out that you love Office Space as much as I do, and two, the fact that the second season of the show elevated it from when it's good, but when it's bad, it's kind of meh, to the point of in the second season, I don't think it's missed the mark once. Like they've fucking perfected their own like formula. The show Corporate on Comedy Central.
Okay.
The first season is good. Like there's some really good episodes. There's some episodes that I really could care less, don't remember at all. The second season had like one episode that was like pretty good, and then everything else has been incredible. Like they've like perfected their own formula.
It's just straight up comedy.
Good. It's so funny. It's like the best way I could describe it is it's Office Space if you put it on steroids and cocaine. But but every episode's like 22 minutes.
Got it.
It's like they take
for that.
all the ridiculous like awkward scenes in that and like heighten it like crazy.
You said this was a Comedy Central jam?
Yeah, it's on Comedy Central. The second season I think is almost done. It's it's whatever 12 or 13 episodes a season.
Cool. Nice. You got me with the last feel good show comedy.
Yeah.
Romance.
No, I wouldn't necessarily call this a feel good show.
Okay. It's a funny show.
Think about like Office Space. Like there's some darkness behind those eyes.
Like an Office Space, Silicon Valley type.
I never could get into Silicon Valley, but no, it's like the two. Well, really, all the main characters are like, and again, the Lance Reddick, the guy from John Wick, who was the manager of the hotel and the concierge of the hotel, and was the lieutenant in The Wire. He's in this as well. He's not in every single episode, but he plays the CEO of the company.
Okay,
he's so good in it.
Right.
But like the only other person who's even really like famous, like who's part of like the main cast, is the comedian Aparna Nancherla.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, you would probably recognize her if you saw her or heard her voice. She's really the only other person who's like famous. The other, like the two main characters are also the creators of the show. I've never seen them in anything else.
Okay.
It's really funny, but like it's all super nihilistic. Like a lot of like just like the baseline of what those characters all are.
Right.
Like it takes Peter's like disaffectedness and like ramps it up to fucking 100 times worse.
Hey, Peter, man, turn on Channel 9. It's the breast exam. Oh, my God. That movie's ridiculous.
What would definitely get you above all else, I think, is like this company has every famous product you can think of, they end up having their version of. Okay. But they typically are like, they're literally a monolithic company in the show. And their headquarters looks like a monolith. It's like a black all black glass structure in the middle of like its own space. And it's so they have their own version of Google Maps.
Of course.
And they're all watching it like, oh, it's cool. Like you can see my house and this and that. But they realized that the Google Maps wasn't like their version of Google Maps, the Hampton DeVille like thing. It wasn't just a car driving down the street. It's also people with like a GoPro on. And like they're looking at one of people's houses and you can see something going on through the window. And like, you know how like with Google Maps, like you can like move it up and down the street.
Yeah.
They start playing around with it and realize that they can go into people's houses on the maps. And as each person's looking at it, they see them with the person who's got the camera on going into their house, catching people doing things.
Oh my
super
God.
Embarrassing. One of them, they literally see like a murder scene inside of someone's house. It's incredible.
Clever. I like that. That's fun. Well, the other thing that I had in here was just another thing that's just completely sucking up time now, is what we're playing.
Oh, nice.
You play anything new?
I've been playing Anthem, but that's it.
Okay, cool. I still haven't gotten into it at all, but I started playing a little bit of Apex Legends. I was having a lot of fun with that game. It's a lot of fun. And
I will give you my quick review of Anthem. Very quick, because we've taken too much time on all this stuff. The game overall is about a 6.
Okay.
Gameplay is at least an 11 out of 10.
Like the loop?
No, I'm just like, when you physically get a mission started and you go out and start shooting shit up,
it's fun.
It is addictingly fun. Like, it is incredible.
I will do it at some point because I have the Origin thing, so I'll play it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I would like to play it with folks.
It's incredibly fun to physically play. The
Sure.
actual game itself is really rough, and they've been going through a really rough rollout. There's a lot of fuck-ups that have gone on in the making of that game.
Sure.
But I will not deny, once you cut through all the crap and you physically get out there and you start playing a mission, it's fun as shit.
All right, cool. That's good.
And beautiful looking too.
The other thing that I'm playing is I had to go into the city, so I downloaded Breath of the Wild again.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God. If ever there was a game that was just like, this game's a masterpiece.
Wow.
I don't even know. I just don't even know how this happened. Like, you play this game and then you play other games and you're just like,
this game isn't that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like how I don't know why everything is so satisfying, and so like it's got moments of like making me extremely calm while I'm playing it, making me extremely tense. I feel like it will never end. It's just a wonderful. I mean, I know people have spoken at length about this thing, and you know, there's tons and tons of reviews and stuff out there, but I just had to bring it up because I started playing it again. I was just like, oh my good Lord, is this a good game? And I got a little bit burnt out on it the first time I played it.
That'll happen.
But it was more so, I think, the time in my life and being like, I was kind of miserable. So like that, like it was just like another. It almost was like this other daunting thing to do.
Rather than being your escapism, it just became another hallmark of the time of misery for you.
Right. It was just like, God, I don't have time to do the other things that I need to do. How am I ever gonna get through this?
Yeah,
that's not the thing. But
it's funny.
Man,
I've had that issue at times with games where I've been super excited to play a game, and then it came out, and I see what goes into it. I was like, oh, this game is so gigantic that I don't know what to. It's like the paralysis by analysis, like too many different like types of choices. I was like,
yes,
I don't know where to go first, so I'm not going to go anywhere.
That was the reason why I got rid of a bunch of my consoles and landed with just my Switch and my computer, so that I would narrow it down, because it was like, I want to play this, and this. I'm gonna go.
And then
you
down. Don't play any of it. Like,
yeah, I'm exhausted thinking about my options. But anyway, that's gonna be sucking up some of my time as well. Do you have any other news nuggets?
One final nugget.
What do you got?
I just think it's cool that they announced with Endgame it will be finishing the entirety of the first 3 phases that they have titled collectively the Infinity Saga, which I think makes sense.
Smart.
And per the follow-up to the story is what we discussed last week. Phase 4 will be what's coming next, which we saw that movie whose name of the character I already forgotten, with the Asian American superhero. Mm-hmm. Completely forgot the name of it already, as well as I'm imagining we'll get a Doctor Strange 2, Black Panther 2, technically Spider-Man Homecoming or Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm going to do that every single time.
That's fine.
The thing is, they both
the title twice.
You can't put home in both the titles. No. That's what's getting me.
Mm-hmm. I think it has to do with like friendly neighborhood.
Yeah, and no, I get it, but also still like find new words.
Oh yeah, no, it's not the best. But you know what? To their defense, how many times can you do Spider-Man 2?
Sure. I'm just saying, you decided that you weren't going to go with the Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man or Ultimate Spider-Man or any sort of thing Spider-Man. You want to make it Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm fine with that. Just give me a word, give me a phrase or word or subtitle for Spider-Man that doesn't have the word home in it. That's all I'm asking.
Spider-Man work going.
Spider-Man overseas would have been fun.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been
Spider-Man Spring Break, because it seems like that's kind of what.
Yeah. All right. Oh man, I'm very excited for that. I'm like, I've got chills though for Endgame.
Oh yeah.
Man, cannot wait. Cool. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Let's get into this movie, man.
Let's get into our flick of the week. Alita Battle Angel. Sticking to our old traditions, I'm going to do your little IMDb synopsis. Very short this time. Alita Battle Angel. A deactivated female cyborg is revived, but cannot remember anything of her past life and goes on a quest to find out who she is.
Pretty accurate.
That's pretty accurate. I wrote up a big review on this. I felt compelled to do it after I saw it.
Spoiler free for any of you who are wondering.
Oh yeah, you can go check that out. It's which I intend to do. Any of my written ones, I intend to do that way, unless I feel the need to discuss something specific. I will obviously call it out. But I enjoyed this movie a lot more than I expected to going in. It was something that when the first trailer came out 17 years ago,
it does feel like this is a very long time.
It was a long I was like, when I saw it came out. Well, I think we were like probably together watching a movie, and the trailer was there. It was like meh. When I saw the trailer, I was like meh, and then later, like at the end of that year, another trailer came out. I'm like, oh, that movie didn't happen yet? I had assumed that the movie came out, nothing happened with it, and I could probably go buy it on Blu-ray now. That's what I thought happened. And then I saw another trailer and I was like, oh, it's coming out soon. But this time the trailer looked way better, and I was like, all right, I'll go see this. I got more and more excited for it. And by the end of it, I got through it. The movie has its flaws. Don't get me wrong. When I rated it, I gave it a 6 out of 10. Which I think it's.
I think I would rate it slightly higher. I would call it a 7.
That's fine. It would.
I genuinely liked this movie, like enough. Like, it's tough. Because it's kind of a big dumb action movie, and I say that because it reminds me of a particular style of movie that I associate with the period of time between 1995 and 2005.
Yes.
Right? Where,
100%.
Just purely from like a structural standpoint of the movie.
Yeah.
The way that it starts with inciting incident, find character, like coming of age tale, growing up. We have the resolution of we deal with our like final main like situation, like our final main bad guy or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then it ends with the person having achieved something, and we get like either like someone cheering them or like they're like storming off into like their new career, like like it's got that period of 10 years arc to the story.
100%. Which is something that hits. I loved movies like that.
You know what? The first thing that reminded me of, like just at the end specifically. This isn't too much of a spoiler. Like the very end when she comes out to the crowd and like the cheering and like that's how the movie ends. Mm-hmm. Do you know what it reminded me of? Just that one shot. Did you ever see the Chronicles of Riddick?
Yes.
That's what at that exact moment I was like, this movie reminds me, just for like a beat by beat standpoint, of Chronicles of Riddick. This movie is so 1995 to 2005.
It's so funny that you say that because like normally that would be like an insult. It's like, oh, it's a movie that doesn't hold up or something like that, right? Like where it's like, oh, like it's a formula that's been done before, and
it's very much a throwback from that standpoint.
It has a weird nostalgic feel to it for something that is new.
Yeah, I do feel like it had a lot of elements to the movie that are new, that aren't old, feeling like where it doesn't hold up, but just specifically from the structure of how the movie was laid out, that's exactly what it reminded me of.
Mm-hmm.
That's really I don't know that I don't know that it's a good or a bad thing. I actually don't have an opinion on it. It's just that's what it reminds me of.
That's good for me because when you pull on my memories of like my entertainment when I was younger, then I'll be more drawn to your movie.
Well, what I'll say that gave me the slightest tinge of that like not being something that I was a fan of was this movie had so many things in like the story itself that's like very non-traditional that it had an opportunity to get even weirder. Like it's a weird movie, and it could have enhanced itself by leaning into the weird even more by giving 100%. Us a little bit more non-traditional arc to the story. It's not that it didn't work. I just feel like it could have elevated its own material by allowing itself to get even weirder in even how the movie is delivered to you. That it's a super weird movie, and I'm good with that. We've talked about a lot of weird movies. Yeah. We like weird movies. It could have gone even weirder and been even better and moved it up to maybe like an 8.5 for me.
Oh yeah, I'm with you. I am right there with it because like there were so many things that were going on there. Where it's like, oh, that thing's interesting. Let's hear more about that, and we move on to the next thing. Like shit, and like, oh, that thing's cool. Let's god damn it. And the way I explained it in my write up was, it feels like a very excited kid retelling a story. Yeah,
the thing is, I didn't actually have much of an issue with the pacing. I had heard about that. I think somewhat from your review and some other things too. I didn't have a problem with the pacing per se. What I found was, and this is something we'll have to get into post-spoiler, but
sure.
What I found was it wasn't so much an issue with pacing in a vacuum. It was prioritizing what it wanted to tell. And I didn't realize that that's what the problem was until the end of the movie. And we'll have to get into this at post-spoiler thing.
For sure.
Something that happened at the very end, if they had prioritized better how they were going to get to that point, it wouldn't have been a factor at all.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. It's, but that's what I mean about like the retelling of a story. You know, I've done this before too. I'm not great at retelling stories, but I love stories, so I tried to do it anyway. So like you're explaining a story, you're getting into it, and then you forget something, and you go, but also this happened, so remember that, and then you go back into it, and you do that. And this other thing also happened, and then you get back to the story. And I feel like that's how the movie played out a little bit.
To a certain extent, yes. And then another thing, just to go back to that time period I'm talking about with the structure of the movie. Again, post-spoilers, we'll get into it more. But the cameo at the end of the movie reminded me of another movie that came out I said 95 to 2005. The movie I'm thinking of came out in 2006. Super close. Did you ever see the movie Aragon?
Dragons?
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't remember it.
It's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to remember it at all. The point is, again, similar idea. Inciting incident, buildings Roman type story. You know, hero coming of age. At the end, they fought their big battle. They have the conclusion or whatever. Going off to the next big thing, the movie ends. But at the end, you see the main villain, because it was clearly setting up another movie to come out, which very happily didn't. If you want to talk about things that you loved something in one medium and then they butcher it, putting it into a movie, I loved those books. My brother loved those books. It came out at the perfect time for me, where like I was like 13 years old or whatever, like when like those movies were like movies or those books were coming out. Like one of my favorite like book series to read as I was growing up. And that movie is horrendous. The thing is, it was bad enough watching the movie, and it was like, wow, they really butchered the first book. I watched it again like a year or two ago. It is such a bad movie. Independent of source material, it is so bad.
Okay.
And it sucks because they actually did a pretty good job of casting some of the main roles. Like where like if it was the type of thing, if they ever decided to try it again, I'm so mad because they won't be able to reuse those people in the cast. You know what I mean? Where it's like they nailed the archetype, and though like it was totally wasted on a shit movie. But at the end of that, even though the villain was slightly revealed throughout the course of the movie, similar to the villain in this movie, at the end you get a big scene with the villain at the end teasing what's to come next, and it was this thing was exactly the same again. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
was it somebody famous?
In Aragon? It was John Malkovich.
Oh, okay.
And he would have been so good in that role. Like, because they only really gave you about, like, they gave him maybe, like, 90 seconds of screen time in the movie, maybe slightly more. He would have fucking nailed that role.
Oh, man. It sucks when that happens. It especially sucks if you are a fan of The Thing, and then you see it happen, you're like, oh, no. Because you know that there's also a good chance they're going to continue going with it anyway.
Yeah, but they didn't, thankfully.
Luckily, they did.
It was so bad.
That's
also another thing that probably would have been a good candidate for, and maybe if they ever do try and do it, like it would be a good candidate for being like a Netflix show or something like that.
All right.
Also, the other person who was like they nailed the casting, Jeremy Irons played the kind of the Obi-Wan type, like mentor to the young character. You know what I mean? He nailed that role.
Okay. I like Jeremy Irons.
But getting back to this movie, sorry, that was a rabbit hole I didn't quite expect to get to, but it felt it was important to discuss.
So a couple of things I love about this is obviously still pre-spoiler, so we won't get too deep into any of these things. But I love, I'm a sucker for a good world.
Yes.
And I was genuinely like, what's going on here? Like what I don't really care. I'm kind of glad we're not wasting time on how we got to this. It's almost as if it was like a dystopian world, but like they came back from it a bit.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the right way. It's the version of dystopian future where it's like, oh yeah, we lost a lot, but we kept enough that things are still pretty good, that we still have at least enough technology where we can like make things like matter, and like we looked like we could maybe build back up eventually type of deal.
Yeah, and that's what I think. What I find interesting about a world like that is like what you could do. You could you could have some real fun with the story of being like you come across like some artifact or something where somebody knows the history of it, and you talk about it. It's just this absurd futuristic thing that is also outdated by the time, and it's like failed, and nobody really understands. Like you could do some really cool things with that, and I love an interesting world like that. And
to your point, where like I don't care too much about what happened before. Mm-hmm. They only dip their toes in that thing, right? It was just the right amount and not one bit too much, right?
Yeah.
Like it was like, okay, I can see there's these things going on. Most of the details don't matter. I'm kind of curious with what you got going on over there. Yeah. But maybe let's talk about that more in another movie after this if you're going to make another one. Where they gave enough where it's like I can understand what's going on without needing more information, but I wouldn't mind some more information in the future.
Right.
I just don't have time for it right now.
Yeah, unfold it over time through little stories, backstories, quick things like here and there, little nods. Do a John Wick style where you just like, here's the thing. This is just how it is, and I'm I love that. So cool. Like I thought the world was interesting. I would love to see more of it.
And also, I know exactly why you sat down and thought Cloud Atlas, because there was like the exact same, like futuristic, post-apocalyptic, still have a lot of technology.
Yeah.
It's a weird dystopic future. All of it like a couple hundred years after some major war, literally called The Fall in both movies. Like
right. Oh my god, that's so funny. The other things, there were a couple other interesting things. I like it's another interesting thing that goes along with like the world and stuff like that, and I like when you get into this place where it almost seems like cultures have just molded together. Like there's not a lot of difference. Yeah. There's just there's like humans seems to be like the thing, even though there's not like alien races.
It's an example of the monoculture, but not in a bad way where it's like one thing is dominated. It's the monoculture where all cultures have now become one.
Yeah.
Like where it's like a piece of this, a piece of that, it's well balanced amongst all of them.
I like that. That it keeps it helps. I think it helps with attention and focus while you're watching all these other crazy things.
Yeah.
The other piece was the sport. Like I love that there's like this ridiculous sport that's played and that kids also play it on the street. Like a version of it. And I was like, oh, that's fun. Like, that's like, you go outside and you play basketball with your neighbors.
And then you could flip on, like, an NBA game, like, at night.
Right. And, that's me. I was like, wow, like, that's, like, I just thought, like, transposing that, like, just, like, let's move an exact type of thing that is very human just I don't know, thousands, whatever the future is here. I like that we don't know what time it is or how much time is supposed to have passed, or like even if it's this universe that we live in, we don't even know.
No, they definitely gave you all that information.
Did they? They said that?
Yeah, like I think it was an opening text crawl thing. It's like the year 25 something.
Okay, so 500 years.
Yeah, although I don't remember, it's definitely on Earth. I just don't remember if they said like where.
Okay.
I just don't remember if they said where on Earth it was supposed to be, but it was on Earth in the year 25 something.
So what's interesting to me is, and
it was supposed to be like I think like 300 years after that war.
Okay, gotcha. What I'm curious about, and hopefully you can shed some light on this pre-spoilers. There's the world that they live in. That the majority of this movie, well, actually, like I don't know, all of this movie takes place on is like the ground level, right?
98.5%.
Yeah, there's some floating thing in the sky, but there's which we're interested in, and I'd like to learn more about in the second movie. But we're on this ground level, and it actually one thing that didn't jive too well was it didn't seem so bad down there.
Yeah, for how often they said how bad things were, it largely didn't seem that bad.
It felt like a big community. It felt like people all had jobs and food and were like they had time for recreation. Like they didn't really do a good job of displaying like maybe like a homeless epidemic or falling.
Well, the one thing was there was clearly some overpowered people who were murdering the shit out of some people, but
yes.
like it was a city and it was like the serial killer killed like 6 people.
Right.
Like a bad thing, but like not an unrealistic thing for like present day.
Right. And that's that. I just thought it was like people are like, oh, what's up there? Oh, I gotta pay my ticket so I can get my way up there. And I was like, but, dude, like, okay, maybe, but
and like there was like a really talented doctor who like accepts payment in oranges.
Yeah. It's just interesting because it's like I guess what you could take from it though is because it's so far in the future. Because they didn't reveal to us what life was like beforehand, maybe there are things that they are, you get used to something, it gets taken away. It's like
it's all relative, right?
So it's probably you could I could take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, no, the biggest thing was it seemed like cinnamon. No, the biggest thing is it seemed like okay, there's bad things going on, but it's always right around the corner. Mm-hmm. Or I guess taken another way, you could say, sure, it doesn't seem that bad, but you could see how it could quickly get really bad. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where it's like, maybe it's more a fear of how things could go. Like, it feels like we're constantly on the brink of collapse. Like, if you read it that way, I think maybe it becomes
like uncertainty.
More palatable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
where it's like, things seem to be getting a little bit weirder than they already are, mm-hmm. and we don't like the direction they're going in. Not so much as that the world is falling down around our ears right now, but it feels like it could any second now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I would like to get into the spoiler territory, but before I do, I want to share a little anecdote with you. Before I came down here today to record, I was talking with Kim. She's like, "Oh, what movie are you doing?" And I said, "We're doing Alita," and she said, "What?" And I said, "Alita Battle Angel, the one I saw and I wrote the review." And she goes, "Oh, the animated one?" And I said, "No." And she goes, "Wait, that's not animated?" I was like, "Well, the main character is like it's a person, but then like overlaid animation on top to like enhance features and like
also motion capture stuff." Yeah.
And she goes, "Wait, but the other people in the movie are real?" And I was like, "Yes." And she goes, "I don't like it." I was like, we should just have you on here for that review. It's fantastic.
So I'll take that to mean she didn't see the movie.
She didn't see it. It was so perfect. Shall we get into our post-spoilers territory?
Yeah, I guess that's just...
All right, let's unlift the veil then. What is Alita?
What?
What is she?
What do you mean?
She's a cyborg.
Yeah.
She came from the sky shoot thing.
Kind of.
Well, her head did. The inside.
I don't want to say that it came out from the chute so much like the way Hugo said it, as it came from around the chute.
Okay. She's clearly has some pre-programming for martial arts and fighting. Like, I don't understand. I don't know what she is.
So what she is
What's her history?
A human brain inside of a engineered construct.
Right, but why does she have these skills?
Because she learned them.
When?
Because she was a soldier in the Martian army.
Thank you. Right, okay, I forgot. Thank you. That's the piece that I was missing that I couldn't remember now I'm remembering the scenes of that.
The little bit of flashbacks they showed you was her training for that mission to attack the city whose name I forgot.
So
the floating city.
And we don't know how she got there or why I assume she got busted up in some sort of battle.
Well, we saw that in the flashback when she finally remembers who she actually is.
I don't remember seeing her getting.
So you remember
you remember
at the end when Hugo got eviscerated?
Hugo, you know
her
names.
Boyfriend.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
You remember that time he got eviscerated?
Uh-huh.
So there was a flashback of that happening to like her and her squad as they were attacking.
Oh.
And like she
That's right.
didn't get eviscerated by the ring, but it like blew the tube open.
Yeah.
Then she fell, and that's the last thing she remembers.
Okay, got it. Okay, cool. Thank you for clearing some of those things up for me.
But I feel like those are crucial details.
No, it's fine. It's the thing is, it's not overall. We're not talking about an important story here. Like, it's a fun watch. The movie's entertaining.
Well, I mean, it is. Those details are important to the story. If you want to say overall the story isn't important, then
they will be important when I rewatch it before the second one, which will inevitably come out. Hopefully, it sounds like it did well.
Well, especially internationally, I think.
So I'm down. Yes. I'm excited for more.
Overall, it did well. It was reviewed well enough. I liked the movie. I would watch another one.
My closing line was, I'm gonna own this thing. Like, this was going in the collection. I enjoyed it. I will watch it again. Some good action in this movie.
Yeah,
and not the kind that bores me.
All of it wasn't great, but some of it was. Some of it was cool. Some of it was more than a little ridiculous.
Some of it was from the trailer 17 years ago, and some of it was made in the last few months.
I really dug Christoph Waltz's power axe.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty badass.
I love that guy.
He was great.
What is it with giving this man ridiculous props? Here, hold this pipe. It's absurd. It's gonna empower you in this scene. Here, hold this ridiculous axe.
Yeah, okay, I guess so. Well, the only thing is, I love him in general as an actor. He was really good in this because he's just really good. But the only downside is, like, he's Basil Exposition.
Yeah.
Which you need it sometimes. It's generally an indication that the writing isn't as strong as you would like, but it wasn't the end of the world. At least he imbued that character that's really more an item and a plot device than a person. He imbued him with humanity that made you care enough that the couple of times that his life was threatened, you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Because
that sort of character often gets killed off.
Also, that fun thing of, like, is he a serial killer? Like,
well, so that's the thing. I don't know. That's what I said here. Going back to our discussion about the structure of the movie, a lot of the stuff that happened in this movie, especially if you're familiar with those sorts of movies, a lot of it was fairly predictable, but not all of it. There were some genuinely fun twists. That was the first one of them. That Ito is a hunter-warrior. Sorry.
Yep. Much like you.
I wanted to chuckle every time I heard that term, though.
Well, I'm pretty sure out loud I went, stupid.
Yeah. But that was a good twist because, like, the thing is, it had you set up for that stereotypical, oh, yep, he's not what he seems, you know what I mean? He's gonna be the serial killer. And the thing is, I didn't view it as cheesy when I thought that's where it was gonna go, because in this sort of future, I actually viewed it as something that could make some sense in the fact that I just assumed he was creating his own patients. Mm-hmm. I didn't think he was killing people.
No, I just thought it was like something sadistic.
I thought he was wounding people to drum up business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or he was killing them and stealing the parts so that he could use them to fix people who needed the help.
Right.
So I view them as there potentially being something more than him just being, oh, don't trust this guy just because he even says that line, don't trust anyone.
Yep.
Before you find out. But then it turns out the twist is that he's one of these hunter warriors. Like, oh, that's kind of a cool twist.
Usually the person that says don't trust anyone in the movie is the person that you're like, oh, no.
Exactly. Like, they did all the right telegraphing of that thing to make it an effective twist when you find out that it's not him. That, you know what I mean? Like, so that was a kind of a cool thing to me. The other thing that was maybe slightly predictable, maybe not, I think because of the way that it was revealed, you could get there eventually before they reveal it, but at the time it wasn't something you would consider. The fact that she ends up being one of these Martian warriors, right? That's not something that's on your radar early in the movie, but when you start to hear some rumblings of that, eventually it crosses your mind, that could be an explanation.
Right.
Because the explanation you're given by Hugo, oh, you have to have been, if he found you in the scrap heaps, you have to have been from the city, because those dump right on there. I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be one of those, she was trying to do the right thing up in there, and she got cast down, and somehow she survived, and this and that, and, one of those sort of setups, and it ended up being partially right. Instead, she was from this outside force who was trying to fix everything by defeating them up there. It didn't go right. She fell down into the thing, and now we have to find out who she is.
Skrulls.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I got something for you about that whole thing in a little bit, but let's go to what you wanted to say next.
We were talking about Christoph Waltz is a hunter warrior, and part of me, when I started to understand like what these hunter warriors were and what they did, I was like, this is an interesting thing. How does a person become a hunter warrior? This is what crossed my mind. How does a person become a hunter warrior? And then Alita just storms into a room and demands to be one. I'm like, got it.
I was like, well, sir, we have the answers for you.
Push this button. Here's your card. You made your bed. Like I was like, oh, all right, that gets nothing to it. Like they're all walking around like badasses, but it's like, but anyone could be one.
Well, the thing is, most of them were all badasses, and then there's Christoph Waltz. Like, how did that guy survive doing that job?
Man, he's great.
Because he's not like genetically modified or engineered in any way, shape, or form. He does have that badass axe, which literally is rocket powered to make him swing it harder.
Right, which is ridiculous.
I suppose is an ingenious way to do that, but
it was a fun weapon. It was a fun.
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool.
I enjoyed that. But no, that's fun. There's a couple of relationships that I find that were confusing to me.
Okay.
Let's talk about, first off, this movie's got Mahershala. You know I love me some Mahershala.
Probably not enough Mahershala.
Not nearly enough Mahershala. Especially, he's out by the end of the movie, and you only get, like, a few scenes with him.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Sure.
When he gets killed, and what was the name of the bad guy? Nova. When Nova's possessing his body, right? And she stabs him in the heart or whatever, or stomach, and he looks down and goes, that's probably fatal, as he slowly falls off the deck. Yeah. But he says it completely nonchalant. Yep. It's an incredible delivery.
Yeah.
That seems fatal. Like, oh, this is mildly inconvenient that I'm dying.
So, what I wanted to ask, though, that was really funny.
Right? I was like cracking up when that happened.
What I wanted to ask, what is his, I don't understand what his relationship or background with Shireen is.
Well, so was it Shireen or Shiren? Shiren?
I tried to pronounce it after writing it down.
I feel like it was pronounced a couple times. I feel like it was pronounced at least two different ways during the movie. Let's call her Shireen, even though that's the Game of Thrones character. So her and Ito were married, and they were working as like some of the top like repairers of those people in the, what was the name of the sport?
Murderball?
Was it Murderball? Okay, I couldn't remember.
It wasn't.
No, I feel
it's something like that, but I kept calling it Murderball, and the first time I heard it, I went, "Wait, what?"
Motorball. That's
Motorball. I want to murderball you. Probably one of that is the greatest line from Knocked Up. They're in the hospital, and they're in wheelchairs, and Joe Dale goes, "I want to murderball you," and he kicks the other guy out of his wheelchair.
Yeah, it was Jay Baruchel, I think.
That's so good.
so the two of them were like one of the top like engineers working on the motorball circuit, like repairing these like players in the thing. Vector is like the Vince McMahon, who's like the guy who runs the league. Mm-hmm. And she has since been, I guess, promoted to kind of his right-hand man.
Got it. And they've been divorced because of the death of their daughter. And
the way that the two of them handled it, yes.
And what I didn't understand, though, it almost seemed like they were trying to make that the Sharon Chaiti Vector thing was like a relationship of some kind. But
no, I never got
a working relationship.
Yeah, I never got any romantic aspects. I know.
Yeah, there was just something. You know what it was? They just didn't give you enough of those two characters that are able to really deliver. Those two actors.
I guess so, yeah. Two like pretty good actors who weren't given enough screen time, I guess. Although, not that I necessarily needed to see those characters more. I think they were used judiciously. But sure. For the fact that those are two of the three famous actors who have like leading-ish roles in this movie, right. It does seem a bit odd. All the actual famous actors like kind of all were by the wayside, and we got much lesser known ones who were in like the lead roles. Mm-hmm. I suppose with the exception of Ed Skrein's face.
Like what? Like what?
Are you saying what to what I just said, or what to the fact of that in the movie?
What to the fact of that in the movie?
Okay.
This movie.
I actually had a fun little guessing game going on during the movie.
Okay.
Because like you're trying to figure out like some of these other people in the backgrounds were like some degree of famous. It's not exactly a star-studded cast, but like there's people who are like at the very least you're like, oh, I know that person from that thing. You know what I mean? Like some that guys, as the Ringer calls them. So like Ed Skrein was Zapan. He got more screen time than a lot of the other ones, and you could very clearly tell that's his face, and he's got a very distinctive voice. Mm-hmm. Even though it was a little disorienting to see his face on the entirely machine body.
But really, like of the effects, really well done.
No, it was well done. It was just disorienting.
Yeah.
It was better. It was done better than some of what happened with Alita. Yeah. Some of the facial animation that did with her was really good.
Yeah.
And some aspects of it reminded me very much like I could see the actress beneath it. Some of it less so just because of the eyes. It's just the eyes.
Yeah.
But some of the faces that they had her make were really creepy to me. Not all of them, but some of them.
I don't know if you've ever seen, there's outtakes of Terminator 2 where John tells him to smile or to try to smile, and he scans someone's face, and he does this thing where he just pulls his lips back over his teeth.
And he like grits his teeth like
it's amazing. And it goes, don't do that.
Yeah, some of the faces were a little like that. You're right. But so I had a little bit of a fun guessing game with like who each person was. Like Jackie Earle Haley was Gruishka, the huge fucking henchman. Yep. Although it wasn't his face, but it was definitely his voice. And he's a good actor.
Yeah.
And I guess in this case, a good voice actor. But there was a couple other ones, specifically during the Motorball, the first like time we see them playing it for real. Mm-hmm. The guy who won the whole competition was Jai Courtney.
That name's familiar. Looking him up right now so I can see it, put a face to it.
He was in Terminator Genesis. He played he played Kyle Reese, sorry. And he was also in Suicide Squad as the Australian guy because he's Australian.
Okay.
But like again, it was one of those things where like you didn't see his face this whole time, and then like he won, and they were like doing some like repairs on him right after, and like they like took his helmet off, and I was like, wait a minute, is that fucking Jai Courtney? And like he had like one line, and that's the only time you see him, and I was like, and like it got to the point where later in the movie I was like, did I fucking imagine that? Like, did I dream that? Like, did I fall asleep for like 30 seconds and like imagine that? Like, I don't know why it stuck with me. I was like, did that actually happen? And I had to go back and look, and I see like a bunch of other people in there, like too. Like, there's a couple other people, but let's go to the main one of these guessing game things because
some pain behind those eyes.
There's some blue in those eyes. During the course of the movie, they keep showing. Well, they show people's eyes go blue when Nova's possessing them, right?
Yep.
And we hear them in the natural person's voice doing a different voice, not a voice that's like emanating from them from Nova. And so then they start showing him a little bit later in flashbacks. And he's got these big fucking glasses on. And he's got this ridiculous head of white hair. But all of it is really just a ruse to draw you away from... It's like the whole thing where they make the joke, like, why doesn't anyone notice Batman? Because you can see most of his face. But the problem is when you only see most of someone's face, you still end up losing track of what the person actually is unless you know who it is. Like when, like in The Dark Knight, I think it's The Dark Knight, right? When the it's the Russian girl, she puts the thing over Harvey Dent's face to see, are you Batman? You know what I mean? And it's like, so they do that. This whole like song and dance.
And he
like,
subtly goes, people would notice because I sleep with Rachel at night. That line.
So they did that whole thing, like this whole like sleight of hand where it's like, look over here, we don't want you to tell who's the... And I'm like watching the movie, and the couple of times they show him, there's always a light flashing next to him and this and that, and I'm like, I fucking know this guy's face. And like you hear him say like one sentence, and I'm like, I know this guy, and I cannot figure out who it is. And then finally, the final scene, you see him. I'm like, oh my god, Edward Norton, that's who it is?
Yeah, it's like one of those things where you're just like, why?
Which is why I have to imagine there's going to be a sequel, because that was very much tipped off like, man, we got business to deal with Edward Norton. And Edward Norton's not showing up to be the pain in the ass that he is, to not get a paycheck on the back end of all this.
Yeah, that was very weird. And
I mean, that's the way a good cameo works or whatever, right? It's just like the specific person in the specific way it was all done. I'm like all of the ways that they tried to keep the answer hidden from you, like ridiculous platinum blonde hair, these huge fucking goggles, like he's always like a projection, and there's always some light flashing in his face to like draw you away from it. Like at first, when I first saw him, I thought it was Rhys Ifans. Like I was like who the shit is this guy? I know who this is. Then I went to like maybe it's Peter Stormare. I was like, no, he's too old. His face has gotten fat. That can't be who it is. Like, and I just didn't settle on Edward Norton until they finally show you his face without the glasses, and I was like, oh my god, that's who it is. I was like, I knew who it was, and I just couldn't place it. He was in the movie though. He had clips. He had little bits here and there throughout the movie. It's not like Samuel L. Jackson at the end of Iron Man. It's not like he's not in the movie he was there,
at all.
Like they were purposely trying to not let me figure out. Did you recognize him before the final scene?
Yeah, I didn't know it was him. I was like, like you though, was like, wait, who is that? I know that.
Yeah, okay, so you experienced it similarly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I guess we're just not gonna find out. And then when they find out, I was like, her? No. That was an Arrested Development joke for those that didn't get it. Not just like a weird joke about Ed Norton.
It's just Anne is the nose on Plane's face.
I love that show so much. What else you got?
Do you want...
have choices?
Yeah.
Actually, I want
no.
another one of these beers is what I want.
Yeah, no, the beer is delicious. I had a bittersweet moment where I was like, oh, this is the final sip. Like, yay, but also no. No, sorry, I thought I had two notes, but no, I have one note left, and it's like a big one.
All right, let's do it, because I don't actually have anything else.
Oh, okay, so this will be an interesting way. So, it's funny, you mentioned earlier, like, we were discussing briefly the fact that we're doing this a week after Captain Marvel. You made a comment, like the Skrulls, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I actually did see a big similarity to a certain extent between this movie and that, and maybe it's just because we watched them in back-to-back weeks, or we're viewing them in back-to-back weeks. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to kind of lay out a scenario, and I want you to kind of engage with me as I'm going. Okay. But I have like a bunch of stuff written down here. So the biggest thing, the reason that I felt there was such a similarity, at least between the characters, the main characters here, is our starting point with them is blank canvas, right? It's fish out of water, amnesiac type story, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So with Captain Marvel, the best way I can describe how we get that unveiled to us over the course, because I don't view them as being exactly the same. I view them almost as being two separate sides of the same coin.
Okay.
So Captain Marvel, we get this blank canvas, and over the course of the story, we fill in that canvas with the details of her former identity that eventually create a full picture of who she is, right? Mm-hmm. She's not really shaped by the events that go along with her. It's so much so as the events allow her to peel back the layers to remember who she was. And eventually that blank canvas is filled in with all these details, and we see the picture of who she is.
I'm just going to pause you there for 1 second because something just dawned on me.
Okay.
She was called Veers for a good chunk of that movie, and when she finds out what her actual name is, I really thought it would have been funny if she said, "My name is not Veers, it's Carol Dan Veers." That would have been clutch.
Only if her friend, and I can't remember the name now, was it Maria? Only if she was behind her, it's like Veers, Dan Veers. Yeah. Right, Dan Veers. Okay, so we have this picture of what Captain Marvel, the journey she goes through in the course of this movie, right?
Right.
Alita, same idea. Blank canvas. Instead of... Now, there is a small kernel of similarity in that she does get a little bit of that remembering who she was as like a kernel of like maybe the very foreground of her picture. But really what she is the way that she fills out her canvas is she is kind of like a mirror imprinting on the world around her. Like it's a kind of a bizarro world reflection of the world she sees around her. Whereas instead of taking all the dirty, like gritty, like painful stuff around her, it's the way that when you look in a mirror, you see the exact same picture of yourself, but everything reversed.
Mm-hmm.
So as the imprint of that world takes shape on the canvas, she becomes kind of the virtuous version of that she wishes to see of the world around her, where she sees people being treated unfairly. So she becomes like the champion of justice for those people. She sees people taking advantage of people in the world. And so she decides to ramp it up by immediately going to sacrifice herself for the things that she cares about. Mm-hmm. And she sees people around her who are cowards. They're not willing to fight for what she views as important. So she becomes the hero she wanted to be.
Right.
The hero she thinks that the world needs. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I mean, and you see like specific examples of that throughout, right? She tries to avenge like serious issues where it's going on. She sees all of the hunter warriors are content to just do their job for the pay, and it's like, no, there's some fucking things wrong. Like,
that scene in the bar is fun.
But it's fun and it's important because that's like where we start to like see that turn of the tide, right? Where it's like,
there's also this like natural born leader,
and like we see that she's destined for more than just being a martial arts expert. She's destined to be an avatar of what the people need. Yeah. And the sacrifice aspect, she doesn't even realize the type of user that Hugo is. He's just as bad as anyone in this world. She's only seen the good side of him. So she's willing to literally give him her heart. Mm-hmm. Not just metaphorically, that too, but physically give him her heart to get done the things that he needs to get done, wants to get done.
Right.
So I just found that interesting that these kind of two similar starting points diverge.
Go in such different directions.
Because in the beginning, I was like, "Oh, this is kind of going to feel repetitive to me," and I didn't feel that way when it was done.
Yeah, no, that's actually funny. I didn't put that together. Like I wasn't thinking about the two of them, the two films like next to each other. It makes sense that because we just did the other one, that you would. But that is a funny thing to think about. You can, and it's almost like it's like music, right? Like there's only so many notes that you can play in different octaves. So like it might start out sounding the same, but then by the end it's a completely different song.
Yeah,
that's cool. It's kind of cool. Man, as you were going through that though, I was thinking about that bar sequence and like that was it was a lot of fun in there.
Yeah,
like the fight sequence in there, and then followed up by like the ridiculous fight with what was the gigantic guy's name?
Gorishka?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, no, that was probably the highlight of the actual action scenes, right? There was some cool stuff that they did, especially anytime you get a chance to do that sort of like big melee, you have the opportunity to have some fun stuff where they're intermingling. Like it's kind of not obviously doesn't measure up to it exactly the same way, but like think of something like the church scene in Kingsman. You know what I mean? Like anytime you have the opportunity to keep pivoting around to see what's going on over here now, what's going on over there now, and this person's attacking that person, but that person's being attacked by someone else, like.
There's one other thing I was scrolling through the cast before and I forgot to mention that I'm curious how you feel about this. Tanji, is that I don't remember how his name was said in the movie.
It was Hugo's friend who got sliced in half.
Yeah, he got sliced in half. And when that happened, you know what the first thing that came to my mind was?
What?
Shouldn't have pushed her. Like, karma, bitch. And I know that's not actually even remotely close to what he deserves. But for some reason, this is a fictional movie, and I was okay with it.
Well, because, like, he was clearly a dick, but he did kind of find the right of it at the end. Yeah. But, like, right at the end.
Yeah. So right at the end. Not yet. Sliced up.
Yeah. Oh, actually, sorry. Going back to the Hugo thing. So when I was talking, like, pre-spoilers about prioritizing.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that we saved him and gave him a body. I didn't mind that we murdered him. What I mind is that they happened in a 4-minute span. Like, I feel like you 100%. Do either of those things, or you find a way to space them out through the course of the movie. Yep. And that's what I'm saying. Is not so much...
you got to die in the second one if you're going to get saved like that in the first one.
Yeah, or he's got to get saved fairly early on and have a chance to, like, have stakes to having the body and, like, get back the sense of, oh, I'm kind of immortal. No, you're not. Yeah.
Well, for me, it was more like, oh, they saved him, so now the stakes felt much lower at the very end because I was like, well, they're not going to kill him.
Yes, they did.
And then when it happened, I was like, shame on me.
Which I guess is kind of a credit. In a way, it's both credit and like a negative to the situation, right? Where it's like, oh, good on you for playing with our mind, like conventions, and it's like, no one's safe, like we're gonna kill them off. But also, why did you work yourself into that corner of we made it like the crux of the movie? She finds a way to save him by cutting his head off and attaching it to her heart, and he survived the procedure and gets a body, and then immediately dies anyway. Like. Yeah. Just rendered everything that happened in that 10-minute span pointless.
Yeah, it was completely unnecessary.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was a matter of priority. Like, if they had found a better way to handle that, it wouldn't have felt rushed at the end.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That is kind of bizarre. It's
like you have to choose one of those two things. Either we go with the cool thing where she escapes with his head and then also gets to murder Ed Screen's face, which also that was super creepy when his like tongue's flopping out.
Didn't like that.
Wasn't a fan. Or
unsubscribe.
You get to see the super important like character development where he dies and she realizes the stakes, like finally like realize the stakes of why she's doing this. Mm-hmm. I feel like you can't have the two of those things back to back. One or the other has to happen. Or like you said, that death of him has to happen in the second movie.
Yeah.
Like maybe even honestly the first 5 minutes of the second movie.
Sure. Though even the fact I feel like you can't. You really shouldn't do that at all, because anytime you kill and then unkill a character, if you kill them again, there's going to be at least 20 more minutes of me going like, but is he dead? Like, you know, like I don't know, is he dead? Are they going to somehow bring him back too? They can figure it out. They can just do it. There has been movies and shows where they bring people back in way worse shape than that.
Well, I will say, to a certain extent, her particular journey, and you realize that she's engineered for this, right? Where he wasn't, like, he was very much an organic human who was grafted onto a body, mm-hmm. whereas she was designed from the start to be like that human mind with a mechanical body. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she meant to be that from the beginning. You never got around to seeing Altered Carbon on Netflix, did you?
No.
So, in Altered Carbon, you could get this implant put into your spine, and what it does is it does a continuous. It's like if you were always online and everything you do. Remember before we started this episode how you said the entirety of the episode was simultaneously going to be recorded and uploaded to the cloud?
Yeah.
So they kind of had that sort of thing going on where every moment of your life is being recorded to this implant. They call it a stack in the back of your head. Mm-hmm. And if you die, as long as the stack is preserved, they could download you and put you in a new body, and everything up to the moment of you getting killed would be preserved and downloaded and backed up, so you'd still be the same person.
What if they pull it out of your head?
Oh, no, there's a couple of people who get shot in the stack and they're dead. They're permanent.
So if you're pulling it out of somebody's head, not like this.
Yes, no, there was actually there was a character on the show who had a particular tool that he used to do that. Yes, vindictively. There was really no reason for him to do that. He could have found other ways to just disable the people.
Just a douche.
Yeah, he was just a vindictive ass. No, for sure. But anyway, with her, we start with finding her head, brains preserved. We put her on a body. She having some trouble remembering, but she's at least alive. And then she starts to remember who she is. But in the meantime, that cool body she had gets eviscerated by Jackie Earle Haley's. It's funny because he played Freddy Krueger, and then he had this other hand thing too.
Yeah. Creepy hand man.
Yeah. He's got a weird thing with hands, I guess. So her body gets destroyed. Then they put her on the new, better body again. So it reminded me of that Altered Carbon thing where, like, the guy got killed, gets downloaded to a new sleeve, back in a new body again.
What if they transfer his head onto this body and his body starts to reject it, but it's also a cyborg and it has its own, like, it's also a machine that has its own intelligence, and it starts to fight back and it just corrupts him and he becomes the bad guy? That would have been interesting. And then she has to kill the man that she loves.
Isn't that basically the plot of that shitty Johnny Depp movie Transcendence?
I didn't see it.
I think that's basically the plot of that movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I mean, in my head, I didn't think it was a great idea. I just thought it would be funny.
Oh, the movie was bad, so you were right.
All right. Cool. All in all, Hugo, probably the weakest character in the movie.
When you measure the strength of the character to the amount of screen time, yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it was just like whatever. When he died, I was just like, all right.
Well, what it got to the point was I didn't care so much that he died, so much so as the effect it would have on her.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. She still has chocolate though, so.
This is my favorite thing.
that was probably one of my favorite scenes. This is my favorite thing. Or that, and also when she just bites the orange and everybody in the room is just an asshole and laughs at her. Like,
and also, as much as they said like all the faces were like, a lot of the faces were creepy, that one was actually perfect, biting into the orange, rind and all, and she's just like, nah.
Yeah. No good. Do not like.
Well, I guess you have anything else?
No.
I have one final thing.
All right, what do you got?
Were you creeped out by by Brain in the Box?
Brain in the Box.
The end when Chai T was murdered off screen, and then we find her eyes and brain and teeth in the box.
Yeah, that was creepy.
And like all still alive.
Yeah, like also
how?
You're not even you're a known name. You're a good actor. And they give you no screen time and kill you off screen. Like, what is... You got killed by... that was...
she got the shortest shrift, yes.
It was not fair. It was not fair. Not fair. But yeah, well, I guess she does get to live on in her memories and haunt her dreams.
I have to imagine if the brain is still conscious, just everything from that time period is just pure horror.
Yeah.
Like, that was both nightmare fuel for the viewer and for the recipient of all of the...
It's just... It's eyes and a brain, though, so it just catches a glimpse of itself in the mirror and then just screams for eternity.
Silent.
Right.
The thing I don't understand
but you can see it in the eyes.
The thing I don't understand was, were the eyes googly-eyeing? Were they moving around?
I don't know.
I think they were, and my follow-up to that is how?
They took a man's head and put it on a machine, and he was fine for 4 more minutes. So I think it's, nothing's too far-fetched.
Sure, I was just confused.
You got anything else?
No, that's probably good for me.
Good episode, Al.
I told you it was going to be great.
Good episode. That's it for this week's episode of Flicks in the Six. We hope you enjoyed it. Tune in next week for more movie and beer goodness when we cover... What's that movie called?
Triple Frontier.
Triple Frontier. Until then, I'm Anthony Costanzo.
I'm Al Bielsi.
Thanks for coming out.